A Japanese officer announces that the retreat to Japan will begin in 48 hours. All scientific records must be returned to their homeland, and what cannot be taken away must be burned. Lieutenant Kato examines the flasks containing small parasites, while a roar begins to be heard from a corridor completely hung with explosives. Something is trying to break through the steel doors. When Kato left, the entire base was cleared, and an explosion occurs. Not all the soldiers managed to escape, and the last thing they saw was a monster walking towards them. 1945, Kwon arrives in Gyeongseong with his daughter Yoon. He immediately witnesses how the local authorities deal with the militia. Everyone who was caught was given a chance to join the Japanese army, and in order to save their lives, the Koreans sign the document. At this time, in prison, they want to get important information from Master Chan. He is the owner of the House of Treasures. This is the largest pawn shop in the city. Chan managed to rise from the very bottom, which is why he is very popular. But happiness could not last forever, and he went to prison because of an affair with Ishikawa's wife. But Chan denies everything. After some time, Chan is released. Ishikawa wants him to find this girl, Myoja, who disappeared 1 week ago. Otherwise, he will lose all his property. Chan has to agree. Upon returning to the treasure house, he says that they have big problems. Boma has heard rumors that a lot of girls have been disappearing lately. What if the girl in the photo is one of them? Chan looks out the window and realizes that he is already being followed. You can't make rash moves. He asks Koo to contact informants in case they know something about Myoja's disappearance, and Boma will deliver the letter to Master Kwon. Nawal will have to sell the most valuable items, and most importantly, secretly. In reality, Myoja was kidnapped by Japanese scientists and taken to a laboratory along with other girls. Lieutenant Kato is in charge there. The two women are taken to new cells. There is a tray of food and a bowl of water. The women begin to eat and wash everything down with water, not suspecting that the 4 flasks with parasites are empty. Chan decides to play a prank on the agents and uses their car as a taxi. He even gives the agent some money.
I won't tell Ishikawa anything, okay? You've earned it.
He later notices Yoon following him and ambushes him. A fight breaks out, but the duo agrees to lay down their arms. She wants to find the Japanese Sakimoto, but Chan does not know who she is talking about. Chan then checks in with his friend Master Kwon. He knew Myoja, but he doesn't know where she is now. Late that night, Kato is informed that Subject 1 has begun to show symptoms. It's much faster than before. This means that the serum did not work. The second object is much more stable, although there is already a monster crawling on her back. Detective Kwon arrives at the treasure house with Yoon. Chan recognizes her immediately, but doesn't say anything. Chan has already found out who Sakimoto is and offers to team up. Once they find Myoja, he will lead them to Sakimoto. At this time, Sakimoto was taken to the military base to sketch the woman from the second cell. Sakimoto turns on the flashlight and notices a monster sitting on the ceiling. A few days earlier, Sakimoto had been invited by director Ichiro to propose improving Japanese medicine by sketching patients. Sakimoto had to agree to make money, but he had no idea what horrors awaited him.
Please don't kill me!
The local hostage understood that Sakimoto was a normal person and gave advice. They should just get used to everything that happens in the laboratory. It was this woman who became the new monster who practically killed Sakimoto. Yoon doesn't like working with Chan, but the father asks not to rush to judge Chan. At night, Yoon sneaks into the Ishikawa estate and notices his wife delivering a message to a man. Yoon rushes after the cart to find out where he is going. She tells Chan this news. If there is a person who benefited from Myoja's death, it is Maeda, Ishikawa's wife. On the day Myoja disappeared, she was at Ishikawa's house, and then she was taken to Gyeongseong Hospital. There, she evaporated. Perhaps she's still there. Koo finds it impossible to sneak into a Japanese hospital without being Japanese. But Chan knows several people who can help in this matter. Chan gives Master Kwon several bundles of money in exchange for his ID to enter the hospital. To prevent the duo from standing out, Chan gave them clothes from the treasure house. Seeing Yoon in her outfit, Chan is speechless and offers to help her into the car, but Yoon doesn't need his help. At the entrance to the hospital, they give their document and the guard lets them through. Ishikawa is told that Chan and several people arrived at the hospital. At this time, Ku imagines that he is a football player
Oh, my stomach!
and begins to feign incredible pain. At this moment, Yoon enters the archive. The janitor notices her and asks what she's doing here. Yoon is ready to kill him, but her father comes into the archive and the man says that he is on the side of the people of Korea. The doctor comes running to Ku to give him an injection, but Ku is miraculously healed. Chan calls the doctor an amazing professional and the duo leaves. Suddenly, there was a shot. Nurses ask not to worry. This is an exercise at a neighboring base, but it was actually a monster that had mutated and attacked 2 soldiers with the help of very long tentacles. Other soldiers want to help their comrades, but Kato orders them not to harm the monster. However, one soldier runs into the attack and is killed. Yoon and her father learned that behind the hospital there was a soldier base, and new people were periodically brought into the basement. The cleaner says that he went to the hospital to find his brother, but was unsuccessful. Yoon and her father will remain at the hospital to find out what is happening at the base. The alarm sounds and all patients are taken out of the hospital. The monster is trying to break out. Kato orders nitrogen to be prepared to transport the monster to a more suitable location. The entire hospital is cordoned off by the military and the chamber is filled with nitrogen. After waiting for the monster to freeze, they push it into the cage. Kato reminds that while they are moving the creature to a new location, they must constantly inject nitrogen. But they did not notice how small snowflakes began to fly away from the monster. The prisoners, thinking that it is snow, catch it with their hands, but Myoja tries to stay away from the snowflakes. After a couple of minutes, everyone who caught the snowflakes begins to die. Yoon quietly climbs onto the tower and sees the bodies of the prisoners. Chan asks the agent to find Sakimoto, since without him it will not be possible to find Myoja. But he doesn't suspect that Sakimoto is sitting in a nearby bar. Tomorrow, the authorities announce that the hospital will no longer operate. The military is setting up their new base there. A nurse comes to Chan. She managed to escape before the soldiers barricaded everything. Everyone left inside is in great danger. 6 hours ago, the monster woke up and began to destroy the soldiers. Only the major survived, who sacrificed the soldiers. But even so, he received several serious injuries. The major asks to destroy the monster as quickly as possible before it is too late, because the more a monster eats, the stronger it becomes. Chan comes to Maeda to ask about the hospital. Maeda immediately says that it is better not to look for Myoja. Then, he wants Ku to find the hospital blueprints. Meanwhile, Yoon has taken the soldier's weapon and is holding him hostage. The janitor helps the duo hide in the service room. Yoon says that the soldier has come over to their side. He talked about a secret laboratory in the hospital. However, he calls what happened yesterday an anthrax outbreak. Among the survivors, he saw the girl they needed, and the duo realizes that they are in the right direction. Ichiro looks at Sakimoto's drawings and wonders what he drew. After which, Ichiro meets with Kato. He learned that an entire quarantine platoon had gone missing. He hopes the experiment goes according to plan, otherwise they will lose the war. Kato says it's still very early. The creature's intelligence is still too small to subjugate it. The monster is watching their conversation and is already thinking about how to escape. At night, Chan was supposed to meet with an informant, but accidentally stumbled upon a gang of samurai. A fight begins, and even though there were many more enemies, Chan knocks out the leader. But because of the fight, he does not have time to come to the meeting. After studying the diagram, the duo realizes that there is a ventilation pipe leading into the laboratory. Under the cover of darkness, they climb onto the roof and climb into the ventilation. Yoon finds living people and helps them climb into the ventilation, when suddenly the doctor comes into the office and notices people missing. To keep him quiet, Yoon gets rid of the doctor. Sakimoto came to Chan. He wants to help Chan get to the hospital. Several military men decided to drink whiskey and chose the roof of the hospital for this. Yoon started knocking on the ventilation to get her father to open the hatch. The soldiers noticed this, and her father had to give up. The fireworks begin. This distracts the soldiers, and Kwon and Yoon begin to fight. And if not for Chan, they would have died. The fireworks are also his doing. Yoon asks to take the children out, but she will have to stay to find Myoja. At this time, Ichiro conducts another experiment. After the bell rings, people enter the cell. He is sure that the monster will remember the sound of the bell and will perceive Ichiro as its breadwinner. Ishikawa wants to know who set off the fireworks. The agents who were supposed to keep an eye on Chan lost him. They assume that Chan entered the hospital again. He tries to understand why Chan is trying to save these people. After all, they are strangers to her. But Yoon doesn't want to leave them in the laboratory. Other soldiers find the doctor's body and open cells. One of the girls says that she used to work at a military factory, but she was brought to this hospital and experimented on every day. Yoon had already seen something similar in another city. Chan asks to save Myoja as quickly as possible, otherwise she will die. But these people are not his concern. It only took one look from Yoon to get Chan to help her. The soldiers examined the entire department, but did not find the fugitives. The boss is sure they are hiding somewhere. Ishikawa took everyone to his office. The girl gets scared by the drawings, and the duo decides to look at them in more detail. Yoon asks who this man is. Chan has to say that the artist she is looking for is standing next to her. Yoon shows her mother's portrait, and she is ready to hear any truth. But he doesn't have the strength to tell her that her mother has become a monster who is becoming more dangerous every day. Ichiro wants to get new individuals, but Kato doesn't know whether it will be possible to create another creature. All other samples died. When the soldiers entered Ishikawa's room, everyone had already disappeared, since Chan gave his clothes to the boy so that he would pretend to be him and take the cart along with the children. Mrs. Nowell will have to hide them. After examining the doctor, Ichiro came to the conclusion that he was killed by cutting the carotid artery. Teenagers couldn't do this. Perhaps some soldier betrayed them, but he is interrupted by an announcement about the arrival of very important guests. Ichiro immediately comes to the guest. It turned out to be Maida. Convinced that Chan is now somewhere in the hospital, Maida orders that Myoja not be harmed until she gives birth. Because of this, she is transferred to another cell. Kwon shows a map and a possible location where Myoja is being held. They have 3 hours until dawn. The janitor's shift will end soon, forcing him to leave. Before you care, you should know the name of the fry that can be taken to the laboratory in Osendok. The other rodent has a big finger. Yoon promises to find him. The group then climbs to the roof and climbs into the ventilation. Kwon lingers to get rid of the tied-up soldiers on the roof. Because of this, a patrolman notices him and asks him to inspect the roof of the hospital. A couple of minutes later, the alarm is announced. The entire quarantine battalion is sent to guard the laboratory. The monster tears through the wall and notices the elevator shaft, as well as the switch. Because of this, when the soldiers called the elevator, a monster was already sitting inside. The soldiers open fire, and the monster rushes to attack, devouring everyone who gets in the way. Ichiro thinks that an intruder has entered the lower floors and asks for increased security. When all the bodies have been removed from the roof, the soldier notices an open hatch and goes down. Chan notices the light of the lantern and closes the grill. The group goes down to the laundry room where they are spotted by a soldier. A fight breaks out. While on the lower floor, a detachment of military personnel is trying to contain the monster. But he is already too strong, and the number of military personnel is falling at incredible speed. Chan takes the gun away and pulls the trigger. Kato is told that the monster has broken out, but they didn't know that he figured out how to use the elevator and went up to other floors. A little later, the group continues to search for Myoja. Chan goes last and witnesses the monster's existence. A few days before, Kwon attended a meeting of the heads of the Korean resistance. They discussed the use of dynamite. The main thing is not to get caught before the rebellion starts. But the military ran into their base. Everyone who was caught was sent to the hospital. To find them, Kwon entered the prison. His comrades are still alive, but he won't be able to get them out. He asks to tell where the dynamite is stored, but they don't want to say anything until they get pulled out. Because of such a long conversation, Kwon is caught. The monster forgot how he destroyed the military a couple of minutes ago and misses with all his attacks on Chan. Yoon distracts the monster, grabs a rifle, and fires several times. But the monster quickly regenerates and gives chase. Only the steel door could stop him. Yoon's father was much less fortunate and ended up stuck with the monster. Kwon pours alcohol and pours out gunpowder, after which he drives the monster into a trap, but the creature manages to wound the man. The duo is surrounded by military personnel. Chan asks Yoon to lay down their weapons, otherwise they will die. Yoon throws away the knife, and the duo are taken away by the military. No one survived this incident. Kato wonders if the monster has learned to use the elevator, but no one knows where the creature is now. Sitting in his office, Kato writes down all the known information, but he doesn't understand why it hunts. Yoon and Chan are raised separately from each other. It turns out that Sergeant Haneda already knew that Chan had infiltrated the base. He saw him in the corridor but made no noise. Chan promises to pay if Haneda tells him where to look for Yoon and Myoja. Tomorrow, Ichiro meets Master Kwon's father. In prison, Kwon is given 1 hour to hand over all the rebels, otherwise he will die. After examining the flasks, he notices the janitor's younger brother, but he can no longer be helped. Haneda called the treasure house to tell them about their plan, after which he takes all the guards away. Having waited for the moment, Chan unlocks the cage. Other prisoners ask to be saved. Before leaving, he gives the key and asks to wait for him for 30 minutes, because he wants to find Yoon. She was taken to Kato's office. He is sure that he has seen the same eyes before, and asks to name his mother, and also whether she felt something when meeting the monster. Yoon replies that she didn't feel anything. Kato goes to the closet and brings Yoon a glass of water with a parasite inside. While wandering around the base, Chan notices Yoon, who is being handed over to security. Kato orders not to touch her without his permission. Yoon is locked in a cell where the infected women were kept. A little later, Yoon notices a message from her mother and begins to cry. And then she understands what Kato's question was about. The guards notice the candy and let their guard down. Chan takes advantage of this and knocks them out. Yoon refuses to leave as she is confident that she will find her mother. Chan tries to convince her, but Yoon just hugs him. She asks for forgiveness that she cannot stay with him until the end. Chan still tries to stop her, but realizes that Yoon cannot be convinced, and he asks only one thing, that she does not die. Kwon, through tears, begins to write the names of people from the resistance, among which were Chan and Yoon. Chan returns to prison, but there is no one there except a hungry monster. Meanwhile, Yoon points a gun at Kato to get answers. The prisoners ran out to the guards, the soldiers open fire, and Chan comes to the rescue. One soldier survives and takes aim at the fugitives, but a monster comes around the corner, annihilating the soldier. Chan takes the mug of water that Yoon didn't drink and reveals that the parasite is taking over the brain and causing mutations to become a better form of humanity until the monster stops hunting. All for the sake of survival. The monster throws objects around and Chan notices a nitrogen tank. He knocks off the faucet and the entire corridor is filled with icy smoke. The monster is instantly knocked out and poisonous snowflakes fly everywhere. Kato's main goal is to create a new world that Yoon's mother brought. She does not believe that a person can turn into a creature, but Chan doesn't like this comparison and suggests drinking the contents of the cup. Yoon orders to tell them how to defeat the monster, but Chan won't say anything. The sergeant takes the resistance list, but this is not enough for him. He wants to find out how resistance works from the inside. Chan meets Father Yoon and says his wife might be here. Yoon tries to find her. Chan looks at the map and asks Kwon to take the survivors to safety, and he will try to find Yoon. Director Ichiro is informed about the missing prisoners. He immediately starts beating Haneda, but he is interrupted by a soldier with important information. On level 2, bodies infected with anthrax were found. It is snowflakes that spread this infection. Yoon leads Jang out of the office and immediately meets other soldiers. They ask permission to destroy the monster. Chan says that there is only one weapon that can stop the monster: fire. The soldiers realize that there is an enemy behind Kato and knock out Yoon. Lieutenant Ishikawa was convinced that the hospital was involved in the disappearances of the women, which is why the police arrived there at first light. Director Ichiro says that a highly contagious disease is spreading inside. Ishikawa considers this a lie. Otherwise, why are they not wearing protective clothing? After which, the police enter the hospital. When Yoon came to her senses, she was already chained to the floor. Kato wants to conduct a new experiment. Will Mother find out, Yoon? Other soldiers drove the monster into the elevator and began to lower it to level 0. The monster runs to attack, but Yoon shouts the word Mom, and the monster stops. The creature remembers who she was and begins to protect Yoon from the soldiers. This was not part of Kato's plans, and he gives the order to launch nitrogen. The monster immediately kills the soldiers, breaks Yoon's chain, and throws her towards the exit. Afterwards, Chan pulls Yoon away. After a while, he manages to put the monster to sleep, and to prevent the monster from getting out of control in the future, Kato orders Yoon to be killed. When Master Kwon has written all the possible information, a black bag is placed over his head. Koo, dressed in a police uniform, parks at the designated spot and takes the soldier away under the pretext of having a drink. The entire group reunites, including Haneda, who brought Myoja. They have exactly 10 minutes left to get into the truck, or the truck will leave without them, and they will not have another chance to escape. They start tearing the clothes to make a rope. Koo notices his comrades crawling along the rope. Yoon does not want to escape with other women, and Chan forces him to follow his orders. Yoon asks if he likes her. Chan doesn't know how to answer him. The military enters the room and a shot occurs. Everyone begins to quickly descend. The trio barricades the passage and prepares for defense. The first military men appear and suppress the trio with heavy fire. Ichiro gives advice. If Ishikawa wants to find out the truth about this hospital, he needs to get permission from the general or ask his wife. And the only thing he can say is, not a single resident of the city who gets here can come out alive. Even the girl Ishikawa is looking for. The trio returns fire, but in this shootout, Yongwang is mortally wounded. He gives the amulet and says where his family lives. Yoon loses hope of victory. Chan promises that he will live to make life difficult for the Japanese. But before that, they must be saved. When Yoon started to go down, Chan took her hand, and Yoon asks him to go down after her. However, Chan decided to stay behind to delay the soldiers. When the last person has descended, the rope falls and the window closes. Yoon doesn't understand what this means, but she is forced to leave. Koo starts the car through tears and drives away. Director Ichiro decided not to kill the escapees, but Sergeant Haneda went crazy and ordered the soldiers to attack. Chan returns fire, but the bullets are quickly running out. However, he managed to escape through the ventilation and the soldiers ran after him, because of which Chan trips and falls into a pit of bones. The police convoy stops and Myoja gets out of the truck. Ishikawa quickly approaches her and allows the trucks to continue. Later, Koto notices that the cup is empty. The soldier who was kept in this room names 4 people who entered the room. A police truck gave chase, but the path is being reborn by citizens. This was part of the plan in case of a chase. A couple of minutes later, Koo is caught, but there was no one in the truck. All residents managed to change clothes and were taken out on carts. The police run into the street and begin the rioting. Ishikawa decided not to return home to Maeda today and stayed with Myoja. Maeda doesn't like that Ichiro ruined everything, because of which he will have to resign as director. Ichiro has to say that the experiment was a success and shows a notebook with sketches. Late at night, a girl begins to attack local residents, and Ishikawa wakes up and does not notice Myoja next to him. Maeda decided to explore the lower floors of the laboratory. Kato doesn't want to let outsiders in, but Ichiro convinces him that Maeda is their most generous investor. Hearing Maeda's voice, the monster wakes up and tries to kill the woman, but the tentacles do not reach. The entire shopping area was arrested and locked up in the local jail. Chan climbed into the room where military clothing was kept. He notices Maida and asks her to help him get out of here. Ichiro notices the woman is missing and raises the alarm, but Maida had already taken Chan out of the hospital and he loses consciousness. The driver offers to turn it over to the military, but Maida asks to move on. Yoon tells her father that she saw her mother in the hospital and he immediately remembers the pendant on the monster's neck. Koo is subjected to a lot of torture, but he doesn't tell the police anything, although Mrs. Nawal allowed them to be handed over. 4 days later, Chan wakes up in Maida's house. By this time, 11 people had died in the city. During the autopsy, it was possible to notice that everyone's brain was missing. Kato found out about this and came to the police station. He spoke about 4 suspects who could be dangerous. When Ishikawa returned home, he found another victim and immediately realized that Myoja was dangerous. To Nawal's surprise, Chan returned to the treasure house, after which he immediately comes to the hospital to free his people. Chang threatens to close all stores and cut off funding for the army. Ishikawa asks to tell what exactly is happening in the hospital. Chan is ready to tell if Ishikawa accepts his conditions. All the prisoners are released, and Ishikawa finds out everything. At night, Chan specially comes to the area where Yoon lives so that she can find him, and they hug each other. Ishikawa interrogates Myoja, but she's not going to answer. Their relationship from the very beginning was built on mutually beneficial proposals. Ishikawa knew that Chan liked Maida, and out of spite said that she wasted money on his treatment. Since Chan chose another girlfriend, Yoon, she and Chan are walking around the city and notice a shot. Myoja began to enter new areas. The guy tries to defend himself, but Myoja is not afraid of bullets. In the middle of lunch, Chan finds her. The woman rushes to attack, and she has become much stronger than ordinary people. Kato says that these parasites were found in glaciers, and if you introduce anthrax at the predator stage, a person can turn into a monster. In the heat of battle, Chan notices that Myoja is afraid of fire. He screams her name, and Myoja regains her sanity. She tries to run away into the forest, but the entire city police are running after her. Maida invites Kato to become the new director of the hospital and continue all experiments under her funding. Kato cannot say exactly how much money and time he needs, but that doesn't matter to Maida. Myoja is caught by the police. Ishikawa asks her to return to the hospital or she will be executed. Myoja could not stand the betrayal and killed Ishikawa. When Yoon returned home, she noticed the note. Her father decided to go to her mother to fulfill his last duty, but Yoon must move on. Kato shows Kwon his wife and locks him behind bars. Every minute, the monster becomes more and more aggressive. Kato suggests that only Yoon can calm her down. Chan gives Yoon a tour of the treasure house's vault. He gives an amulet with a stone that gives good luck and offers to be together, after which Yoon kisses him. Tomorrow, Chan will join the resistance. Yoon stole a gun to kill Ichiro.
Don't shoot!
Chan wants to make as many bombs as possible and destroy the laboratory from the face of the earth, but he is interrupted by a woman with news about Yoon. The monster became even more aggressive and disappeared. The soldiers have disabled the elevator and are confident that the sample is somewhere below. Yoon also disappeared somewhere. The police were ordered to search the pawn shop. To find the monster, Kato wants to use Kwon. The military enters the cage and Kwon kills them. Meanwhile, Yoon wakes up at Maida's house. Maida came to Chan and says that Yoon will not come back since she is not strong enough to be with Chan. He should forget about the hospital and Yoon, and then the treasure house will be safe. Chan orders Yoon's body to be shown, but Maida gets up and leaves. Chan runs after her and promises to find Yoon, dead or alive. Maida doesn't understand how he will do this when he is surrounded by traitors. Long ago, it was Nawal who turned in Chan's mother. Koo told secrets under torture, just like Kwon. Chan does not blame them since it was the war that forced them to do this.
No matter how humiliating it is, they do their best to survive in a world you all created.
Kato received Yoon, and the monster immediately appeared to break through the bars. Chan fills his bag with dynamite and says goodbye to his friends. A cart drives up to the hospital and an explosion occurs. At that very second, the monster was released. Kato takes Yoon hostage and the monster is unable to attack him. Chan and Kwon meet each other in the ventilation. Chan says that Yoon is here somewhere and gives 2 tickets so that Kwon and Yoon can leave here. The military is trying to tranquilize the monster and block him on the floor. The duo overheard the military's negotiations and realized where they needed to look for Yoon. Kwon decides to stay with his wife and gives his ticket to Chan so he can live with Yoon. The monster breaks through the bars and runs on. Chan finds Yoon, and together they kill the military. Kato returns to the office to save the remains of the samples, but he accidentally breaks most of the flasks. Kwon planted the dynamite and met his wife in his last moments. When firefighters arrived at the hospital, the monster had already disappeared. He punched a hole in the wall and escaped through the roof. The duo returns to the city. Yoon suggests that they forget each other, as she will be hunted, but Chan is not going to leave her. By this time, all the military and firemen in the hospital had been killed. Maida doesn't want to lose and plans to kill Chan and Yoon. Having said a farewell speech, Maida leaves and the mercenaries run to attack. Chan covers Yoon, but they are still wounded and almost killed. If it weren't for the monster who came to the rescue, having dealt with the bandits, the monster tries to kill Chan, but Yoon blocks it with his body. With the last of his strength, Yoon asks his mother to stop, after which he dies in Chan's arms. Tomorrow, the funeral of Ishikawa and other military personnel is taking place in the city. The rebels made a trap out of the funeral, killing everyone who came there. The first season ends with Kato holding Myoja's child and inviting the woman to test her new powers. Well, if you want a continuation, just write to us about it in the comments. We will also be glad to receive your like. Bye.